This is Between the Uprights.
Football is life. The rest is just details.
Here are your hosts, Joe, Matt, and Chris.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Between the Uprights. I'm Joe, that's Matt, and Chris. We got the whole crew together today, baby. That's what I'm talking about here, Between the Uprights. And before we get into all that great football action that you come to Between the Uprights for 24/7, 365, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We're just getting this thing spun up here. It would really mean a lot to us if you do that. So please hit that like and subscribe button now. So the Broncos, Sean Payton comes in. You know, the Russell Wilson experiment doesn't work. He's out. He's in Pittsburgh now, absolutely tearing it up, leading a division. A lot of people had comments about, like, why is he doing that in Pittsburgh? Couldn't do it in Denver. We're not here to talk about someone who is on the Denver Broncos. We're here to talk about the fact that everybody, your boy here included, thought Bo Nix was the dumbest motherfucking draft pick inside the top 25 that I have seen in a hot minute, next to Atlanta picking Michael Penix Jr., because what the fuck are you doing after signing Kirk Cousins, right? And granted, Bo Nix has been exactly what is advertised. He's a more mobile, decently accurate, heady quarterback who will do the things to protect the football, make accurate throws, and try to keep you ahead of the chains, right? And if you look at his just overall numbers, you're very impressed with what Bo Nix has done. However, there was an article put out by ESPN where they graded the quarterbacks, first round quarterbacks, right? They graded Bo Nix, they graded Drake May, and they graded Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels, the guys who are actually starting, playing, decent amount of snaps. That's why Michael Penix was left off, because the guy's playing cleanup duty most of the time anyway, and we don't really give a shit about that. The thing they said about Bo Nix is that he's had, I think it's like, decent amount of dropbacks, right? I don't remember the number right now, but the stat that stuck out to me was 95 of those dropbacks, right? 95 drops, like 3 games worth of dropbacks have come where the win probability for either team, the Broncos or whoever they're facing, is at 95% or higher. Now, why is that critical data? That is critical things to know. That's critical information, because at 95%, it usually means that if you're winning, the other team's playing very desperate. They're, blowing coverages, things like that. You're getting easy throws, stuff. And if you're losing, they're playing prevent defense, which means everybody's fucking open and you can do whatever the fuck you want. Now, the problem, another thing they brought up in this article here on ESPN where you can find out is that his yards per attempt and air yards and all those things like that are very, very different in those situations. If you factor out that 95%, he's mediocre at best. Bo Nix is not a good quarterback outside of that 95 dropbacks. Those 95 dropbacks have ballooned his statistics a little bit here. This is some Kirk Cousins stat padding type shit. Okay, right? Like, so he's not doing as good as you want. I mean, he had a 300-yard game, 4 touchdown, 300-yard game, but he only averages 4 air yards an attempt, which means that Sean Payton has developed a very quarterback-friendly offense that allows Bo Nix to get the ball out and allow his playmakers to create. We saw this before. And a lot of people have said that Bo Nix is a more athletic, more mobile Mac Jones. And if you think about Mac Jones, when his rookie year, when, they made a run and, sort of fell apart towards the end of the year, but looked good, won double-digit games, all those sorts of things, was leading the division at like week 12. What did that offense look like? A lot of play action. A lot of relying on the running game, a lot of quick throws horizontally to get vertically, not a lot of downfield stuff. Unfortunately, Bo Nix looks like you're just more athletic Mac Jones. But the real question here is, even if that is true, the Denver Broncos also have a pretty good defense, a smart head coach who makes things easy for his quarterback to learn and grow, who has looked better the further the season has gone along, who are in the playoff picture right now as a wild card, and are probably looking to make a little bit of trouble come playoff time. So, Chris, I'm going to go to you first on this one. Are the Broncos the dark horse that no one really wants to see in the first round of the playoffs?
Uh, See, we had this conversation last week. And you remember, I was like, no, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon right now. Just, the Steelers. I'm like, not ready yet. We'll just see how it turns out. I got screwed on that, I guess. But I guess I'm gonna take that same insight because I don't. And I don't because of kind of what you've already shown. To be honest, there's not really a whole lot to add to it. I think it's a great start as far as at least you're in the hunt, right? You're right now you're a playoff seed, but when it comes down to, we all know when the playoffs start, it is a win or go home type of setup. There isn't a we can fix it after this game and come back. This is one of the reasons why I love the NFL so much and why I think that the playoffs for the NFL get so much more media attention and so much love and outside of other sports such as like the NBA type of thing, because they have a million games essentially, so they have time to fix things up. In the NFL, it is win or go home, and that's it. And when you're talking about playoff teams, if you're the last seed, guess what happens when you're the last seed? You go against the top person, the number two. That is a guarantee. If you are the number seven, you are going against the number two. So if you're telling me that in the wild card, the Broncos are likely to either go against the Kansas City Chiefs, who I will say they did almost pull up the upset. They almost, if not for a you know failed failed field goal, but that's neither here nor there now. But so you're saying they're either going against the Kansas City Chiefs or they're going against the Buffalo Bills, because right now those two teams are in a complete back to back on who's going to take the number one seed in order to get the bye. So if Denver's going against one of those teams, excuse my language, mom, dad, no way in hell I'm picking them against either of those teams. There's absolutely no way. Especially when if you're gonna start comparing him to a Mac Jones. Patriots fans, I get it. I'm a Patriots fan. I get it. I was a Mac Jones fan. I'm not gonna lie. At least the first 2 years. 30 I couldn't do it anymore. But you tried, right? I mean, there's reasons, but nonetheless, he's set up, right? He's set up in a good process, and it's not like he's doing terrible. Believe it or not, if I'm not mistaken, I had it up a minute ago. If I'm not mistaken, he's actually the highest ranked quarterback against the rookies as far as touchdowns. He's at 19 already. He's the highest one out of all of the rookies, who I think might be a dark horse when you start talking about the rookie offensive player of the year. That's where I think you're going to get a dark horse from, to be honest, and rightfully so. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but he can give Jaden Daniels a run for his money for sure. But when we're talking about the playoffs, and yes, you have a good defense. Yes, you have a good excuse my language, brain.
Running
Um
game.
yeah, that too. Running game. Head coach is what I was trying to think.
Sean Payton is a good head
Um
coach.
right. So you have a legit head coach as well who's trying to make it easy for you. But again, excuse my language, but that shit doesn't fly when you get to the playoffs. It doesn't fly. You're one and done. Those teams are going at you, at your throats. It's the way it happens. It's why people love the game so much. So if they have any chance in hell as far as even getting into the playoffs, because they're still with the area that he's in, there's a good chance they might even get into the playoffs. They are right now, but there are a couple teams who are also kind of on the hunt. But if they get in, there's a very big likelihood they're one and done. My
I
personal
mean,
feelings.
so you were talking about some of the teams. The Colts they have on their schedule and the Bengals they have on
Yep.
their schedule. They beat
Mm-hmm.
both of them. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They're the next
Mm-hmm.
three games
Their
are
last three.
at the Raiders versus the Browns, home for the Colts before they go on a road trip against Chargers and Bengals, and then they take the Chiefs to Denver at the end of the year. So now a couple of things here, right, that happen, right? So at the end of the year, if the Chiefs have the 1 seed wrapped up or their playoff position cannot improve at the end of the year, there is a chance they rest their starters, right? So I can say that is a possibility for them to win last game of the year. I think they're going to beat both the Raiders and the Browns. I think that their defense is too good, and I think their head coach is too smart to lose to the Browns or the Raiders. The Colts game, I think, is going to be a big one. If they beat the Colts, I think 3-3 is realistic, right? It means the Colts have to go 4-2, and the Bengals and the Dolphins have to go 5-1 over the last couple of games. So that is a rough schedule for you. Think like the Bengals haven't been able to chain wins together. The Colts are back and forth on their quarterback with Anthony Richardson. He's back starting in, looked good last week. The Chiefs could be benching their guys. The Broncos, to me, look like they are going to make the playoffs. And I have always said this, right? A good defense with a smart head coach and an efficient offense is enough to make a playoff run. You think back the 2000, I think it was the 2008 Bears, right? Or the 2000, whenever they went and faced the Colts, right? Whatever year that was, it's fucking years ago. Okay, it's like 16 years ago. But no one would say that offense was good. They were efficient. They had a good defense and good special teams. I think the Broncos, who've already shown that they can hang with a Chiefs team that, like you said, and this was in Kansas City, mind you, they did this in Kansas City, that if a field goal doesn't get blocked, they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And we don't even do last week's video about the Chiefs possibly being undefeated, which only lasted one extra week, and we were all wrong on that. I had to answer a bunch of fucking comments about it. So I think the Broncos are making the playoffs here, but there's a chance here, and I like the Broncos. I think they are a dark horse. But Matt, I'm going to kick it to you here, man. I want to know your feelings on the Broncos, man, because I know you and I both were not on the Bo Nix train.
Well, I actually was kind of on the Bo Nix train. I wasn't on the I don't think anybody was like the Bo Nix is going to be a superstar train. But before the season, I was like, I thought there was too much hate on Bo Nix, where everybody was like, what kind of pick was that? And I was like, dude, like, you just described Sean Payton's offense perfectly. It's a lot of short passes. It's a lot of play action. It's a lot of quick game. It's a lot of running game. It's a lot of things that are very conducive for a rookie quarterback, especially a quarterback like Bo Nix, who's actually, that's the strength of his game, is all the things that we just mentioned. So I was like, listen, I don't think Bo Nix is a great player, but I think he's going to be a really solid quarterback for Sean Payton, and that's proven to be the case. I mean, regardless of the like you were talking about, the garbage time numbers that he's been kind of accumulating, I mean, he's still been a solid player. I mean, he's been the starting quarterback on a 6-5 Denver Broncos team, which before the season, which is why I think we're kind of framing some of this discussion wrong. I think some of this discussion has been framed in a weird context. Preseason, the Denver Broncos had the third lowest over-under total at 5.5. We're 11 games in, and they've already gone over what they were expected to do preseason. So that was the DraftKings rating. So if these guys make the playoffs, like, what a huge win for Sean Payton. Not after considering everything they went through with that Russell Wilson situation. All they had basically this year was that first-round pick up until the third round. They had basically Bo Nix and then nothing until the third round because of all they gave away for Russell Wilson. They picked Bo Nix. Everybody thought it was a terrible pick. Bo Nix has come in and he's looked like a really, really solid NFL quarterback. He obviously doesn't have the upside of any of the other quarterbacks like the Drake May and the Jaden Daniels and the Caleb Williams in the draft, but he's already proven that he can be a solid NFL quarterback. So I think this season is already a success for Denver. Now, do I think if they make the playoffs they're going to do anything special? No, I think they'll run into a team that's better than him. They'll run into a Buffalo Bills in round one, and Josh Allen's going to throw a party on them in round one. But I mean, I think right now, even if they don't win another game the rest of the season, they can look back and be like, man, I mean, we have something here. We have a really nice defense. We might have the best cornerback in the NFL. We have Bo Nix on an offense where realistically, you look at the weapons on that offense, the running backs, Javonte Williams and Audric Estime. Okay. I mean, that's all right, I guess, and the receivers, you got Cortland Sutton. He's a solid player, but I mean, the rest of that receiving core leaves a lot to be desired. No real crazy tight end. The offensive line's okay, but they're pretty much doing it off Sean Payton being one of the best head coaches in football, a really, really good defense, and Bo Nix playing a really solid brand of football. So do I think they'll make the playoffs? I think it's going to be close. I think they're going to be cutting it close. I think they'll get to about 9 wins, and they might have to rely on some tiebreakers. But if they make the playoffs, this is a massive success for the Denver Broncos in year 1 of the Bo Nix and Sean Payton era. So yeah, I think this discussion has been framed all wrong. Like, I honestly don't even care if they make the playoffs. I think this is just a really, really successful season for the Denver Broncos, regardless if they make it or not.
I mean, you're not wrong. No one saw them being here. And to be fair, like, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They have had six one-score games. I'm counting them again, just to make sure I'm right. 2, 3, 4, 5. They've had 5 one-score games. I apologize. 5. I was off by 1. They are 1-4 in those one-score games. Now, people are going to say the Chargers game, that's not really a one-score game. They scored 16, clawed back 16 points after being down 23-0. Sure. All right. Sure. But they are 1-4 in one-score games. And I just want to paint a little picture for you guys. The Broncos make the playoffs. They are the last seed, last wild card. The Chiefs end up with the 2nd seed. And the Broncos go into Arrowhead and pull a Tim Tebow out of their hat and win a playoff game, baby.
Joe, that's a hell of a dream you just had right there.
Oh my God. I would pay to see that.
Just real quick, you mentioned Tim Tebow, and I want to apologize to Chris's parents right now, just because she said, sorry, Mom and Dad, and then she said, shut the hell up, or whatever she said. I'd be on here saying every single other word that's worse than that. So I want to say sorry to Chris's parents, because I've said a bunch of other horrible things on here. So apologies for everything. There we go.
Yeah. Chris's parents, I'm an ex-sailor. It's in my, I can't help it. I'm going to cuss.
There we go.
It's going to fucking happen. It just happened right there. But also, let's be fair here. We mentioned, the Chiefs could possibly be an opponent here. The Bills could possibly be an opponent here. Don't forget that only a half game back of the Bills and only a game back of the Chiefs right now are the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Like, they're there right now. So let's not discount the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, who have a really good defense and are playing a similar style of efficient football on the offensive side of the ball right now. There are a lot of things going on in the top end of the AFC, and I think Denver could be a team, especially if you let them in with their defense, who they have the 3rd best scoring defense in the NFL, just FYI, who've already taken the Chiefs to a tough spot, have played a lot of tough games. And in fact, the only game that you can actually say, hey, they got their ass beat in was the Ravens game. And like I said, that was a very off night for that really good defense. They haven't allowed a lot of points all year. I think the next most points they allow was to the Seahawks at 26 and then the Chargers at 23. They haven't allowed anyone else to top that, and they just demolished an Atlanta Falcons team that had been looking pretty decent for a couple of weeks now, and they just beat them 38-6, right? So I think the Broncos have the tools to be a difficult out. I don't think they're going to go into the playoffs and get knocked out, but I want to clarify, I'm with you guys. I don't think they're going to do anything special, but you know what? This is a clickbait video, and you guys are fucking here for it, and I love it, Broncos fans. Broncos Nation! Fuck yeah! Plus, it'd be hilarious for the next playoff game the Broncos win to be against the Steelers again.
That would be iconic. That would be dope to
funny
see.
As shit. And also, could you imagine how all that's going to play up? Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, Denver.
Oh, yeah. Leading up to that? Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That would be nasty.
The script writers are cooking, and I'm waiting to eat it the fuck up, baby. Hey, Denver Broncos fans, you're a playoff dark horse, baby.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.